I just want to talk about some of the very basics of the Android operating system for people that are new to it and are used to Windows, and maybe it can help you avoid some of the frustration I had when I first, the first couple hours that I used it. I thought it was quite clunky, when I first got it because I'm so used to Windows. But now that I've gotten used to it, I see why they do it the way they do it, and it's fine. It's not bad at all. It's not clunky. Basically, the biggest thing that struck me was that initially was that you can't X out of an app the way you can in Windows. What I'm talking about is the little red X in the upper right hand corner of a window where you just click it and you exit the app. It's pretty simple. You want to get out, you get out whenever you want. And you assume too at that point that the internal memory that was being taken up by that app is released back to the system, and your system will run a little more efficiently from that point forward. So in Android, let's open an app here. Let me just choose this kids game, and you can see I got into the game. I go in, I may want to play. There's no X up here. I say I want to get out. Depending how deep you go in, you can use this back arrow. That's one way. You can back all the way up, but that's kind of clunky and kind of a waste of time also. And but you can also just click the home button. Okay, and what Android does is it doesn't release it from, it kind of keeps it active in the system. It doesn't necessarily delete it from memory right away when you exit out. Okay, so these three buttons, this is your backup, this is your home button. It takes you back to a home screen, which we'll discuss later. And this is your active apps button. And click that. You see we have two active apps going here right now. One of which is the Penguin game that we were just in. So I can pull that up really quickly again, and it takes me right back to the screen that I was at when I left. Okay. And that's just life with Android. All right, things will stay active, and apparently Android has designed it in such a way that it won't take up too much system resources while these things are active in the background. But it does apparently, from what I've read, use a little more battery to have things running in the background. So what I do occasionally is you can click this button called Remove All. I accidentally just took a picture. Because this little button is taking a screenshot, but that's not a very important button. But this one is. I did a remove all here, okay, and that just removes all those inactive apps, think of them as background apps that are running that you're not using right now. It removed them all from memory and ended those processes. Okay, so let's do it again. Let's open a couple of things here. I'll open up that Penguin game, and I'll go back home. And I'll open up a golf game. Okay. And I'll go back home. And I'll open up a cookie dough game. And it's sideways, which I hate, but okay. You know what? I'm going to exit out of this guy. And get one kids colors. Okay, that's not a sideways one. So now I have three apps going. I went home again. Okay, so I keep going back to the home page. Now you see in this list all my apps are still active. They're just in the background. They're kind of in a hibernating state, I guess you could think of it as, or a dormant state, but they're still there, and it does still use extra battery to keep them there. It might even use extra system resources and could affect other things that are running on your system possibly. Though this system is so fast, I've never had a problem with performance, no matter how many things are running in the background. This is a Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. So you can remove them all with one shot. What I do is usually, if there's 2 or 3 here, I'll leave them. I don't worry about it. But when it gets to 4, 5, 6, I start to want to just clear them out and delete them. What I mean by delete is delete them from memory and end those processes, unless I'm using it a lot, unless I'm toggling back and forth to it, which doesn't really happen. Individually, you can remove one individually and leave others by using the task manager here, and you see all the active apps And I can click one. Let's say I want to get rid of golf. Press end. Yes, get rid of it. And then when I go home and I go back in, the others are still there, but oh, golf isn't gone. Let's do that again. Interesting. It's not gone. Let me see what happens if I click on it. Yeah, it had to reload it entirely. So it did end the process. It kept it in that list, but it still had to reload it. Whereas now, if I go in golf, it doesn't have to reload it. It's already loaded. So it definitely does, to end the process and to do this remove all, it's definitely going to free up memory for your system. So that's how you exit an app. You don't really exit it, you just go home. You want to get out of an app and go to another, just go home. And you leave it in memory. If you want to clear it out of your memory, you come in here, do a remove all, or go to Task Manager and remove individually. But I usually just remove all. This system is so quick to open apps that it's not really a problem. It's not like, oh, once I got the app open, I want to keep it open because it takes a half an hour to open. It's not like Microsoft Word or something. It takes like 5 minutes to open, or Photoshop or something. Okay. Now, what is this home page? Okay. This is a clunky, confusing thing when you first come in, because distinguishing between what this is and what these apps are. This is the apps button. Oh, that's on widgets right now. But what is this? What's the difference between these? This apps button takes you to a master set of all the apps that are installed on your system. Everything that's installed. The home pages, okay, again, there's 3 pages here. These are all the apps that I chose to put shortcuts for on my home pages. Pretty much all of them, but this can be a subset of what your master apps set is. Okay, so I can take an app here, for example, IC Maker. This is, again, I'm on my home pages right now. The home pages is kind of like an analogy of that would be your desktop on your Windows system. If your desktop actually was more than just one page. Okay, so this is a desktop with 3 pages. Let's take this IC Maker app. All right, and I'm going to take it, I hold it, press and hold, and drag it up to a trash can that appears. Remove. Gone. What does that mean? All I did was, I didn't uninstall it. All I did was remove a shortcut to it from my home pages. Because if I go back to my master app set, I'll see that IC Maker is still there. Where is it? There it is. It's still there. Okay, but it's not in my home pages, so I can bring it back by clicking, holding with my finger. It's not click, it's called press and hold or something. And then I put it back, right back in the spot where it was. And then I can pull it up. No problem. There it is. Some apps force you to hold the device in a portrait mode. So I'm going to go home again, and I'm going to go back in here. I'm starting to get a lot of junk in my list here. There's a lot of stuff running in the background. I'm going to remove it all. There. Now, these are my home pages. What are these big clunky things here? These are called widgets. Widgets are things that run right on your desktop home pages. I shouldn't call it desktop. They run right on your home pages, and they give you things like time and calendar. And your master widgets, again, they're like small apps. Are in here. You have 2 tabs here, apps and widgets. Click widgets, and you see all the different widgets you can choose from. They're handy little things that give you some information on the fly, right on your, like this one's Yahoo News, for example. Give it to you right on your home page. And you can, same as an app, you would click, hold, and drag. Let's put this one over there. There, I just put a widget on there. Okay. Okay, now, how do we manage these pages? Let's say these pages got so full, I only have 3 pages, and they're filling up. I need to add more. Okay, you go into the screen for managing these. What you do is take your 2 fingers, press them both, and squeeze them together, and you come to a mode that allows you to add more pages. Like I just added, what did I add? 4 pages. So I have a bunch of blank pages here now. Okay. So I can add more, I have more space if I need it on these. If I want to go back and remove those guys, I just go back to that screen, drag them into the trash can. There. And then you just press home to go back. Now, if you notice, every time I press home, I come to this particular page that has these clocks on it. Okay, you can change which page you come back to. That's called your home page. Okay, that's my home page. I can change that by pressing this little house button. I want to come to this one instead. Let's say, okay, fine. Every time I press home, I come to this one. It's the one that has the Icy Maker app on it. All right. So let's say I go in here. I get sick of being in here. I press home. I'm going to come back to this page. Okay. Go back in. I'll change it back. It's called your default home page. Default home screen has been changed. Okay, fine. And then you press home. Now I come back to the one with the widgets on it. Okay. One other tip I'll give you is the settings. Settings will be here. If you want it, everyone wants to know how much space they've used on their system, how much space they have left, stuff like that. It's a little hard to find at first, but you go into settings and then you go to storage, right there, and then you see your total space. This is a 16 gig machine, and the total space is 11.66, so basically 12. That means that 4, you only start with 12, because 4 is used for the system and for overhead. So you're really only starting out with 12. Now these are what I've used so far, and the available is 6.68. Okay. I added an external SD card with 32 gig. It cost me about 25 bucks. So it bought me 32 gig more, and I have all my videos and photos directed to that location. If I had my videos and photos on here, that 12 gig that I have would be eaten up by now, because I'm using about 8 gig of space on the photos and videos, and I haven't even taken that many. So I highly recommend getting an external SD card if your system allows it, and get as large a card as you can, because your photos and videos, well, your videos would take up all the space. Okay, and there's a few other things you can do in here in settings that you can look at and play with. You know, view battery settings and things like that, display, you want to change your wallpaper, stuff like that. But that's just a matter of playing around with it. So again, I want to get out of this. Notice there's no X up here. That was just weird for me at first, but you just go home. You just forget about it. And it's still floating around back there. See, it's still floating around in memory, and I can come back to it anytime I want. But that's just how you do it. And if you don't like it floating around in memory, then you just press remove all, and you get rid of it. Now it's not floating in memory. And the system, I haven't noticed this system getting bogged down. It's amazingly fast at all times. I haven't noticed it getting bogged down by too much stuff in memory, but I understand that it uses a lot of battery. So if you have a lot of things running in the background, you might want to get rid of them if you want to conserve battery. And another way to conserve battery too is to turn off Wi-Fi. Keep Wi-Fi turned off when you don't need it, and you'll save battery. Okay, so that's it for now. Back on my home page. I hope this was somewhat helpful, and it's really intended for newbies like myself. That when I first did this, I thought it was so clunky, and I was really annoyed by it. But now I think it's fine, and I totally understand why they do it the way they do it, and I think it's pretty efficient. And who knows, maybe someday Windows will be moving toward this kind of design as well, this kind of approach. Okay, that's all.